Thank you for joining us for our monthly webinar series from Local Market Monitor, where we take a closer look at this month's National Economic Outlook, which was written by Local Market Monitor's president, Ingo Windsor. For those of you that don't know Ingo, he has been analyzing real estate markets for over 30 years and is a graduate of MIT and Boston University. He is not your typical economist and has a knack for taking complex data, extracting what is important, and providing unique insights and tangible guidance on real estate markets. So with that, I bring you Ingo and his insights on the economy.
Thank you, Carolyn. As you said, as we've said before, our goal every month is to look at the latest economic data and see what they mean for real estate markets. Much of our focus is on jobs because jobs create demand for housing. That's tricky enough by itself, but during the past year, the very large loss of jobs in all local markets from the pandemic makes traditional analysis almost impossible and forces us to see things differently. First and most important, we still don't know what will happen with the pandemic. Some markets are recovering jobs faster, but we don't know if that's due to political decisions. Some of the lost jobs will never return, but we don't know which ones. The economic dynamics in some markets may be changed for good. And on top of that, boom and bust cycles are playing out in markets like San Francisco and Boise. A boom in Boise, a bust in San Francisco. The good news is that changing economic times always create new opportunities for investors who can understand the changes. Right now is one of those times. So paying close attention to the economic data, even if we don't yet know exactly what they mean, will pay dividends long into the future. Let's start, as always, by tracking the 2020 recession. Here's one way to see the national economy. The blue bars show what's happened with retail sales. The red line shows the loss of jobs. Usually in a recession, the blue bars and the red line travel into negative territory together, because in a typical recession, it's the loss of consumer spending that leads to the loss of jobs. In this pandemic recession, however, it's the other way around. It's the lockdowns and the loss of jobs that cause consumers to stop spending. And this has led to a strange type of recovery. Helped by online buying, retail sales have already recovered, while jobs have not. This has big consequences for real estate markets because of the uncertain housing prospects for people whose jobs have not returned. The chart also makes clear that the financial burden of the recession is very unequal. Many people are spending money just as before. Their financial situation is fine. It's the people out of work who are having a tough time. Let's now look at jobs in more detail so we can understand how different types of jobs have been affected. Here you see in greater detail the percentage of jobs lost. It's the same as the red line we just looked at. After improving quickly, that loss is now stuck at 5 to 6%. That's 10 million jobs. What will happen now? Will vaccines make a big difference? Will the recovery kick into high gear? Or will further improvement be followed by a second cycle of job losses as infections again increase? We just don't know. I think the situation, I think the situation will improve steadily but slowly and will still be negative at the end of the year. Most important, I don't see how we can get back to real job growth around 2% a year until the pandemic is actually over, which won't be for a while. That's the overall situation, but we can learn more by looking at the sectors within the economy. We'll see two things: that jobs have been lost in all sectors, in some more than others, and that the recovery of jobs has stalled in all sectors. Reopening restaurants isn't going to solve the problem by itself. In manufacturing, job recovery has hit a wall. This clearly is a field where government policy could encourage more manufacturing back home. Business services is the largest sector of the economy. It includes lawyers, accountants, and engineers, but also temp services, cleaning services, and the guys who cut the lawn. Recovery in business services jobs had been slow but steady, but it seems to be stuck right now. Healthcare is another big part of the economy, and unfortunately, the financial pressure on hospitals and doctors' offices is leading to more layoffs, maybe permanent ones. We already saw that retail sales are doing well, but jobs in retail were flat even before the recession. So we'll see no boost in this sector. The numbers of this chart, by the way, include all the new jobs at Amazon and other online retailers. The finance sector, mainly banks and insurance companies, has been least affected by the recession because it's the most computerized one. Even here, though, recovery is very slow. Construction jobs came back pretty well at first as old projects were being completed, but there haven't been many new projects. Restaurants are one of the largest employers of people who have few other options, and the sector with the largest job losses. In the other charts, this scale goes down to minus 15%, but here it goes down to minus 50%. Jobs in government belong mainly to teachers, clerks, bus drivers, police, and firefighters. But if local governments don't have the revenues, they have to cut their workforce. There will be profound effects if local governments can't get back on their feet. Jobs in computer system design are my private recession indicator. These are software engineers who make a lot of money. Because they're expensive, companies only hire as many as they really, really need. So when they start needing them again, it will be a sign that good growth is back. Now, what does this all mean for real estate investors? Here's one example. Here are 13 markets where tourism and restaurants are a large part of the local economy. The first column shows the percent of local jobs in tourism and restaurants. The second shows what percent of those jobs remain lost. This is very practical information for investors because almost all of these lost jobs were held by renters. The longer it takes for these jobs to return, the longer the rental market in these markets will be weak. And if many of these jobs never come back, that weakness will continue for years. That doesn't mean you shouldn't invest there, but it means it's safest to invest in the range of rents where you find the most renters. This is good advice in normal times, but especially right now when the risk of investing is higher. To finish, let me plug our Investors Metro analysis, which shows how local economic conditions will affect investments in real estate and pinpoints that favorable range of rents at the zip code level. It's available for any of 200 markets and is as easy to use as 123. Thanks very much for following along. This is our National Economic Outlook. I'm Ingo Windsor.